Today, I'm joined by a super producer. Juanny, welcome to the podcast, dude.
Man, I'm so happy to be here, bro.
I'm excited that we're doing this too. I like a little bit about our history. We connected at Lion's Den while I was working on Sample Tape 1.
Yeah.
You taught me that I really should be tuning my 808s. I remember that. And even right before this, you just don't let me live that down, dude. But yeah, dude, for someone who's never heard of you, how would you describe yourself?
I'm a very laid back person, you know. I'm always trying to take the creative side of things and looking to improve it, and just keep my head down and just wait for the opportunity to rise. Like, that's the type of person I am. I'm just waiting for the opportunity.
Thank you for tuning in to the Mike Squires and Friends podcast. You can support by subscribing on YouTube or downloading on your preferred podcast platform. And definitely go do that because it helps us grow and I can have more incredible guests on the podcast. The Mike Squires and Friends podcast is proudly sponsored by DistroKid. Looking to broaden your musical horizons as an artist? Discover DistroKid. With its smooth and rewarding music distribution platform, DistroKid offers unlimited uploads while ensuring artists retain 100% of their royalties and earnings. Join the community of over 1 million artists who trust DistroKid to distribute their music across major platforms like Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube, TikTok, Tidal, and so many others. Having personally used DistroKid since 2018, I can attest to their superiority amongst distribution services. Collaborating with fellow artists has become effortless, especially with the ability to easily send splits of songs, streamlining the creative process. With the DistroKid app, accessing these benefits is now more convenient than ever. Safely sign up or log in with 2-factor authentication, upload releases on the fly, monitor earnings, and withdraw funds from your DistroKid bank. Stay updated on royalties through push notifications, effortlessly share hyperfollow links, manage account details seamlessly, and track streaming stats from Spotify and Apple. Additionally, explore Mixia for professional-grade mastering, DistroVid for music video distribution, and Instant Share for secure file sharing with collaborators, producers, and more. The DistroKid app is available on both iOS and Android. Download it today from the App Store or Google Play Store to revolutionize your music career. Visit distrokid.com/VIP/Mike Squires to get 30% off your first year membership. Now sit back, relax, and enjoy this episode of Mike Squires and Friends. Yeah, Juanny, so I want to talk to you, what was it like growing up for you, and how'd you end up getting into production?
So, growing up, my dad was actually in a famous, I wouldn't call him famous, but very known band in the Dominican Republic, and he was a saxophonist. So I was always around music, even around my family. Music was a way of life to us, that's mandatory. Every day you're gonna hear music. So it's it was installed in me basically, and I was always intrigued by production from R&B side of things to hip hop as I gotten older, because I didn't grow up on hip hop to begin with. So the production side of things, I just was always intrigued of how to beat. Even I first started with beatboxing. That's how I first started in first grade, and I was just beatboxing. I saw it on YouTube one time in America's Got Talent, this guy, and beatboxing. From there, I was always intrigued by rhythm and the sound of things, and that's how I came about it, because Timbaland started doing it. When I was hearing Timbaland do it, and I was like, yo, that's insane. He's incorporating his actual beatbox into his beats, and from there, I just was in love with the production side of things, and I had to get involved somehow.
Yeah, dude, you mentioned Timbaland too. That's one of my personal favorite producers of all time. Just specifically Timbaland's drums, dude. There's something about and I feel we're starting to see kind of a resurgence of some of those early 2000 drums that he would lay down. Who are some of your producer influences?
Definitely Timbaland was one. I really like Pharrell, because his first 4-beat start, that's just so iconic. You hear that and that's a Pharrell or Neptune beat, So it's you got to say the Neptunes. So Timbaland, Neptunes, Kanye's probably the best sampler of all time. You got to have him in your
dude.
top 5. And I have to go with 808 Mafia as a collective, because they changed the dynamic of trap and the sounds and everything. And I would say for honorable mention, I would gotta say Pierre Bourne, because he just changed the idea of simplicity to is less is more, So he just gave it that groove. As long as you have a nice groove, doesn't matter how many elements you use in a song.
Yeah, tell me what the Juanny signature sound is then.
I try to blend my Dominican side into things. So like, for example, with Afro beats, like I'll have like some sort of like a different groove. Like I know people that do Afro beats will come up to me and is like, yo, that's not typical Afro beat, but you keep some elements and you add some of your own. That's my thing, is like, I don't want to copy someone's whole like groove. I try to add my own groove to it, whether it's like adding a different genre into it or sounds that, you know, wouldn't be normally in that song.
Yeah, we have a beat that we did together that is like one of my favorite beats of all time. It's never been placed. Nobody is on this beat. But to me, like a beat like that is a good blend of like a Squires and Juanny beat, dude. Like it's got like your drums and the bass, like it just knocks, dude, from your end of it. But then from my end, it's like you get like the goofy, like little chipmunk sample, dude, and out of it. So it's like, to me, like, I mean, I love that beat. We got to figure out doing something with it. That's what I just was thinking about.
No, we definitely will. I think the best part about it is like, you can't deny a good beat. So I think it's always like the timing of things. Like we're going to place that beat when we least expect it. Like it's just going to be like randomly plays in a session and someone's like, yo, what was that? Go back to that, you know? And that's how a lot of my, you know, like production things happen. It's just like, someone just randomly hears like the first 2 seconds, like, yo, what was that? Play that back, play that back.
Can you tell me a story about something like that happening with one of your beats?
That actually happened with a lot of records I did with Mike, Young Dill. I know you're aware of him. And it's happened one time with Downtown Dion. He was signed by Harry Fraud.
Okay.
One of the best producers too around.
Yeah, Harry Fraud's ill as hell, dude.
Ill. And it just happened that way. And it's just like, they randomly hear like the first second and they're like, oh, that reminded me of this. Like, yeah, load this up. Like, you know, it's like, it's so random. And it's like, I think that's just going to happen with one of ours. Like we try to shop it and I feel like we're trying to shop it too much instead of just letting it being something natural.
Yeah. You know, one thing I want to pull it back to some of your placements and stuff, but I want to bring it back a little earlier. And I want to talk to you about like how you really got into production. Like what was some like the first equipment that you bought for like, because if there's a producer out there that's trying to get started, a lot of the time people just don't know how. You know what I mean? Because, you know, there are YouTube tutorials like which are very helpful, you know, but for a lot of time, it's like you kind of have to figure out what works specifically for you. So what worked for you on your come up?
So, you know, I always tell people it doesn't really take that much. You know, I think the most expensive aspect of it will be obviously the computer or desktop you'll have. That's like the most expensive aspect. But Fruity Loops, you know, like they'll do a lot of deals sometimes, you know, like you can get like you know, even if it's the cheapest one, you just upgrade as you go because they give you the option to upgrade. So you can buy the cheapest one for Christmas and then upgrade as you go. Like you don't really need much. Like to this day, I still use a lot of stock sounds, you know? So just get in the laptop, Fruity Loops, and then from there, people offer you a lot of free stuff on YouTube. And that's what I would really recommend. I tell DJ Big Kev, I've given AMG, who's another producer.
He's coming on the podcast this week too, yeah.
Yeah, so it's like, there's a lot of free stuff people offer on YouTube. Like YouTube is your best friend. YouTube and Reddit. Because Reddit is like so
they have the packs.
On.
They have, you know, that's actually a gem, dude. You can download a lot of producer packs on Reddit.
So much. Like half of my drum kits come from Reddit.
Mine too, actually, now that I think about it. And that's like, but it's funny that you bring it up because that's not like a gem that I would think to tell anybody. You know what I mean? Because I just organically just do it all the time.
Yeah.
Because you Google it, you're like free Kanye producer pack.
Reddit.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's just like, and it comes like 30 things come up. And it's just like, that is the biggest gem that you can have that people don't know about as much. Like, it's like, if you know type thing. But I'd rather tell people like, yo, you can use Reddit for a lot of things that you don't like realize you can use them for.
Yeah, I find a lot of my drums there. And then, you know, my sounds are kind of from all over. Like, I'll share some of mine and maybe we could just like go back and forth and share some of the plugins that we use and stuff that like have been helpful. But I love the output plugins. I pretty much use all of those on everything, like analog strings, analog brass, Signal, which is like kind of like a synthesizer one that they have. But then they have output. They have like the distortion one. I can't remember the name that I use on my kicks a lot. Thermal is the name of that one. So I use a lot of output stuff. I use a lot of, there's a website like ADSR and you can get like presets for Serum that I use a lot of that I like the sounds of, and you can tweak them like in the Serum thing. I know a lot of people use the other one, Cthulhu. I've never used it, but there's like that one. But that's pretty much, and I pretty much kind of stick around those libraries. I don't really leave there. Like I feel like it's got everything I need for me personally.
I think for me, I like so Omnisphere is like literally the biggest cheat code because you'll have like 1,000 sounds, and if you really know how to sound design, like those 1,000 sounds become like 20,000, you know? So it's like, you can change things up, even with like reverb. Like if you like put a lot of like decay, for example, and you just turn down the actual sound, it turns into a whole different sound, you know? Just even using reverb. So like EQ. So my favorite plugins I use is Omnisphere and Flex. Like Flex is a stock plugin too.
I don't even know Flex.
Flex is like a plugin that comes with like a certain, I think you have to get the producer version of FL.
Yeah.
And it's a stock plugin. And it has like the best sounds. Like all my like stuff that I do for reggaeton, like the Latin side, like that is like the best sounds because it's very synthy. So, and that's like what drives the Latin music is like synthy sounds. So it's like, that's the perfect like plugin. And it's crazy because it's stock. And it's just like, I can literally use Flex for a whole week and make like 100 beats and people wouldn't know I use Flex. That's how crazy it is.
Yeah. And the thing too, it's really not the equipment a lot of the time. It's the person behind it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I hear it all the time. And I remember seeing like a Billie Eilish session that was like literally, you know, obviously a super smash song, but like use only stock plugins to like create the song.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's like, if you're an up and coming producer, maybe just don't overthink the whole process because what you have is probably good enough.
Yeah. And I think that people get that twist is like, you don't need that much stuff. It's just how you use it, you know, like putting things in certain places. Like the pattern is, I feel like the pattern in the beat is the most like, you know, like unique part of the actual beat. Obviously the sounds are cool, but you know, the way you lay out the song, that kind of like paints the picture for the artist, you know? So
Takes the
like,
journey, dude.
Yeah. So it's like, I remember one thing that stuck with me one time was I showed you a song that I referenced, you know, for other people that I was writing for. And you told me like, yo, I kind of want you to give me a roller coaster feeling in the song because I felt like at points I was flat and it was like, you know, you can kind of like guess where I was going with it. And you don't, that's the kind of feeling you want to give someone a song is the roller coaster feeling. You don't want to guess what's going to happen. You know, it's just up and down, up, down. So it's like that always stuck with me. And I was just like, you know, maybe I just got to switch up the patterns a lot and make people like just surprised with what's coming next in the next 4 bars, you know? So it's like, that always stuck with me.
Yeah, because if you can surprise someone and it be catchy, dude, like that's to me the best of the, like, you know, I mean, there's like a good example of that. You know, Kendrick just released his GNX project. You know, what's it, TV Off? You know what I mean? The first part of that song, you know the song I'm talking about?
Yeah.
First part of that song is so ill. You know what I mean? It's crazy. Like the production's ill, but then you got the beat change up with the trumpets, and then you got the master. Like, you know what I'm talking about?
That's what I was saying. So it's just like the fact that it's just so like everything is so unexpected.
The journey,
and now, like,
yeah.
You can't even tell me how many companies haven't used the mustard like line for like their memes. Like it's crazy. It's like,
yeah, I saw Heinz use it, dude. But I want to pull it back to your story too. So, you know, at what point are you starting to see success like with your beats? Like, and success is like obviously a word that's like to each their own, because to me, like the first moment of success may be like someone using your beat or something like that, or like, you know, a bigger placement, you know what I mean? But
yeah.
What was like the first moment of success for you?
I think the first moment of success might have been my first, like, you know, placement that I actually like had to sign contract for. Like that was the moment you waited for. Like this is like the, you know, like this one, you know, it's the real deal, like placement. Cause it's just like, now you have to sign a contract. You're giving up like the rights to your beat to this label. And it's just like, you're sitting there like, holy, you know, like, it's like, whoa, like, did I really just get this placement? And it was the Swish one because the way it happened was insane for me. I remember I was like my 9 to 5 and I'm going to sleep. It's like 3 a.m. And I just closed my eyes and I just hear my phone vibrating, but I thought it was a text, but it kept going and going. I'm like, what the heck? Who is this? So I pick up, it's Murda. He's like, yo, send me a pack for Swish right now. Like, and I was like, word, and I was like mumbling. I was like, what? Like, he's like, yo, send me a pack for Swish right now. Like right now. Like, I don't care what you're doing. Like, just send it to me right now. And I remember my stuff is packed up. It's dead quiet in my house. I'm like, damn, I gotta play beats, but it's so quiet. So I start getting on my laptop, start picking out beats, send it over to Murda. He texts me like literally an hour later. Yo, you got one? He hopped on it. It's fire. I'm like, I can't sleep now. Like, you know, I have to work in the morning. I'm like, yo, like this is crazy because I used to listen to him, you know? It's like, that was like the first game changer for me. It was like, that was the biggest accomplishment for me was when I finally got someone that I listened to growing up and stuff to hop on my beat, and it was Pop Smoke's best friend, you know. So it's like, to me, that was like, wow, like I did it, you know.
And how long were you producing prior to this happening? Just so people know.
So this came out 2023, and I've been producing since 2017. So mind you, it's 5 years of work. You know what I mean? So people think this happens overnight, and it doesn't happen that way.
Yeah, and that's a lesson to be taken away too, because, you know, especially in the music industry, there's a lot of dues you got to pay. You kind of just got to like keep grinding until you basically, the way it works is you work and grind for free for a very long time, and then eventually those opportunities hit that pay you back for the years that you grinded for free, dude.
And people don't realize that you got to do a lot of free work. This is not the industry for you if you're looking to get paid right away. You got to build and get your sound down, and eventually people start noticing your work, you know. Being consistent and, you know, keeping your head down is like, yo, like I know right now I'm not going to make money, but down the line, if I keep doing this, I'm going to, you know, people are going to respect my worth.
Yeah, and I see a lot of people kind of fall back because they get too focused on the money, and it's like, this really is an industry that, like, you know, you can't, because you got to make a name for yourself in some capacity, and the way to do that is like, you'll get people to move faster, and, you know, it's like, it's a big difference. Like, yo, I'm charging $2,000 for a beat. They're like, no one's going to fuck with you, dude. You're like, yo, let me just play you a couple beats for free, and if we like something, like, you're going to have a higher chance of the latter than the first one. So it's like, you just got to pay your dues, dude. But that makes, I didn't know that story too about Raw Swish. So it's like, what's the next steps after that happens? So at what point do you hear the song? You heard the song?
I heard the song the next day because I was like kind of begging Murda. I'm like, yo, let me hear this. He's like, Murda's like, bro, just
chill
wait,
out,
just
dude.
chill. I'm like, bro, play me the song. And he was like, all right, fine, I'll play you the song. And I heard it, and I just fell in love with it right away. I was like, yo, this is insane. Like, I need this song in my like phone. Like, I need to bump this. And from there on there, like, it just like turned a switch in my head because, you know, you as a producer, you you're oversighting your guys, you know.
Yeah.
And it's just like, I'm thinking in my head, I'm like, am I doing something that's gonna, you know, like work out? And you know what I mean? You're guessing if like you should keep going, and then that happens when you're second guessing yourself, and boom, you have a placement, and now you're even hungrier. And it made me hungrier from there.
And I think also when you have moments like that too, it helps like legitimize a lot of like what you're feeling, where it's like, you know, you've been at it for such a long time where it's like, yo, I really can do this. You know what I mean? Like, we can make this happen. And then I feel like, you know, so after that, what's the next one look like? Because I know there's a next one, dude.
Yeah. I actually, before I got a really big one after that, I got another one with Ra. So then I got my second one with him. And then I was like, yeah, I could become his producer because every beat that I pick, he likes each one of them. So I'm like, I think I have his sound. But I think the one that got me after that was like, I got one with Dusty Locane.
Okay, Dusty's
fire. And that's
fire.
when I was like, wow. Because I've had other placements too before, and I just wasn't really like caring about those artists that I've gotten those placements with, even though they were pretty big names like OBNJ. He signed under Empire too, but I got that before Raw Swish and all that.
That's crazy.
I got one with Young Tory, who was signed by Lil Durk, and Lil Durk's on the song too. I got a lot of stuff, but you know, like it means more when you're actually listening to the artist that you're working with.
Yeah, no, I know what you're saying too. Like, I definitely have those artists that I grew up like listening to, where I'm like, oh, this would be crazy if I had a song with them.
Yeah.
But, you know, to bring it back to like, so is the business of this working? Where it's like, you're sending Murda a pack, the artist listen to it. Like, a lot of time, have you met the artist prior to this, or?
So like half of the time, like before, I didn't know Ra, I didn't know Dusty, I didn't know any of the artists that Murda would get me a pack with. I've gone to Empire, I met Bobby many times, and I would go there, and it's funny because the times that I go to Empire, I would never actually get one on the spot. It's always when I'm not there. So I started realizing, I was like, I'm not gonna go over there anymore if that's, you know, that's my luck. So the process is, Murda will tell me like, yo, I got a session with this person. Send me a pack just in case, you know, and if they need beats, I'm going to play the beats. And then that's literally how it happens. Like, because most of the time, the artist doesn't really know what he's going to get into.
Yeah, so he doesn't know what he likes until he hears it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So Raw uses your beat, right? You hear it, you like the song. What needs to happen then? Because he's signed, right?
Yeah.
So he's signed, like, the label content, like, are you getting emails now where it's like, yo, for us to make this happen, you got to sign this.
Yeah. So basically, since I'm kind of lucky because just having Murda there, you know, like he's always with Bobby, which is the VP of A&R there. He's in charge of the New York side of things. He will call me. He's like, yo, so we're going to move forward with the beat. I'm going to have the lawyers reach out to you, and we're going to figure out a pricing, and then we're going to send the contracts. You know, once we get the contracts and the pricing done, we'll go forward, and then I'll have our finance department reach out to you. So you really much just like agreeing, like, yo, so we'll shoot a price at him, and then he'll be like, nah, like we're kind of like aiming this here for like the project, like, you know, the budget. So then you gotta go back to the producer, be like, this is what they're offering us, and then sometimes, man, like to me, it really ain't about the money, you know.
A lot of times it shouldn't be though, too. You know what I mean? Because like I've seen so many people fuck up great opportunities because they made it about the money, and I'm like, dude, like if you just shut the fuck up and did this, like you would have got like some insane opportunities, like, but you're shooting yourself in the foot before you even get in the door.
Yeah.
And I see a lot of people do that. I'm like,
and that makes me so upset, like with other producers, is like, yo, stop being money hungry, because this is not the only opportunity that's gonna come from this, you know? Like now I've been on, ever since that first one with Rob Swish, I've been on his project every year, you know? So it's like, you gotta learn how to do negotiations, right? Like, don't get too greedy. Like, yes, get your worth, but don't be too greedy. You know what I mean? Like, if he offers you something, that's because that's where the budget is in that area. Like, if I shoot you 600 and you say 1,500 to 2,000, it's more than likely a chance he's going to tell you no and move on and get someone to remake the beat.
Well, that's another thing too, and especially as you're building your brand, like and I mean this, like, and this is not just like, I'll just use me as an example. They don't need a Mike Squires beat. You know what I mean? They like the beat, but they don't need it. Yeah. Like, you got to build your brand up to the point where it's like, yo, we got to get Mike on it. Like, we can't be anybody else. You know what I mean? Like, Mike can bring something to the table that like no one else can. Like, but you do that by like building the relationship over years. And I always say that, I've said this probably a million times on this podcast. Most of the time people work with people because they like them. It's not even like, you could be the illest producer, Juanny. You could be undeniably so fire, so gas, like no one makes a better beat. But if you're a dickhead, they're going to just be like, nah, fuck this kid. Like, I don't care how good his fucking beat is. You know what I mean?
It literally happens like that all the time. Like, you know, like you see someone, like I've watched it happen where like he'll be like, Bobby will be there and it's like, yo, we need to remake this beat. And who is he going to go to? It's obviously the person that he likes. Yo, I need you to remake this beat for me. You know what I mean? Could he hit up like thousands of other producers? Yeah. But who you're going to go to? The guy that you know works well, respectful, and is going to get the job done. And that's how a lot of people look at this. It's like, it's not who's the best, it's who's going to get the job done and who's going to be respectful about it.
You got to build that respect. That's like almost like the more important than anything. Like, I had this conversation with one of my homies the other day where it's like, you know, numbers are cool and like you want things to like level up. Of course, organically everybody does. But if you can walk in a room and be respected and everyone's like, oh shit, Juanny's in here, like let's get our act together so we can like cook and be serious right now. Like, you just want to like build that so that, you know, people are willing to do stuff, and also not like, and it's also about how you carry yourself too. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like if you carry yourself, you always work good. You're always a good hang to be around. Like, you know what I'm saying? You're going to get way further than like if you're just good at your craft.
Yeah. It's not good enough either. It's always like I always told people, it's not really your talent in this game. It's also who you know. Like, you know, like, You can literally be in a room, be the best producer in there, but the guy that's known by everyone in the room has the biggest chance of getting that placement right in your face. You know what I mean? So it's like, that was another thing that opened my eyes. It's like, you know how good certain people are in the room, and then I'm getting a placement over the guy that has 10 plaques because they know me in there. You know what I mean? It's just like, even he's like, what the, you know, it's like, what the fuck? Like, how is he getting this placement over me? But it's just like, you know, because you just build that relationship, you know?
And I want to talk to networking a little bit because it's honestly so, I mean, you nailed it on the head. It's like who you know, right?
Yeah.
Have you had like a good networking opportunity that you feel like changed the game for you, or like?
Definitely, because it's actually weird because I wasn't getting my connections through music. So this brand that I'm wearing on my thing is Demon Child, right?
Demon Child.
So a lot of the times, an artist or, you know, let's say a manager doesn't want to deal with a producer. You know what I mean? It's just like they're off time. They don't want a producer hit them. Yo, let me send you some beats. Like, you know how many times they hear that a day?
All the time.
So I started getting creative with what I was doing. So I do the PR for this brand. So what I was doing is you build a relationship with things outside of music. Now they're getting to know you. Now you can say a month later, by the way, I make beats. If you ever need anything, let me know. And once, the one thing led to another, and it's just like, now I'm saying that in every pitch. It's like, once I meet an artist, I get to know them for a month, let them know like how I am as a person, because that's important in this game, is like, who you are and how good of a person you are, because like you know very well how shicey this game is.
Oh, it's tough
So
if you don't know what's going on out here. You're gonna learn real quick.
Yeah, you're gonna learn real quick. So it's like, when people like get to know you over time and they know you're a good person, now you're just like, yo, I can produce for you too. And it's just like, now it's like it's a different ball game. So I learned the marketing game isn't always be direct with it. Sometimes it's indirect. Like use something else to get to where you want to go. So that's how I networked, was through the clothes. It's like, yo, I got beats for you, bro. Like I can send you a beat.
Can you give me an example of something that happened? Because I want to talk on this more, but I want to, finish this section by hearing like an opportunity or something that happened through, connecting through the clothing.
So with Dusty, let's say with Dusty, I was cool with him because I like the song I got with him was through his best friend. I got him close for his video and his best friend's video, and his best friend said, yo, I'm gonna get Dusty on my track. And he literally got Dusty on the track. And then I met Dusty in person. He just came home from a bid and he was like calm. And I was like, yo, I know someone that's been saving like, I want to say like a huge box of clothes for you. Like specifically stuff that only you will have. And he's like, what? Like, seriously? I was like, yeah, bro. Next thing you know, Claire was on standby because I told her, I was like, I'm going to go see Dusty. She comes an hour later. He's like confused because he's like, wait, like, I thought you said you were from Connecticut. Like, like it's an hour away, blah, blah.
She was like, yeah, I am.
Yeah. And she was there in like an hour. It was supposed to take like an hour 30, but she got there in an hour. She was not playing.
You know what you say, or what they say. If you stay ready, you don't have to get ready.
Exactly. And she gave him the whole cart of clothes. And ever since that day, like Dusty, no matter what, if we need like content with him, he's always available. And that just goes to show when you put other people first, and don't think about yourself, they're always going to remember that. You know what I mean? So ever since that day, he shows love. And from there, me and him, like, for example, I'm going to record him today. So it's like, you know what I mean? Like, it's always there. The connection is always there from now on.
Yeah, dude. And it's a good thing to take away from this is it's not what they can do for you. It's what can you do for them.
Exactly.
That's always what it is. And like, dude, I get hit up all the time. People just ask me for shit. But, one kid stood out. This my new homie, I guess now, I've known him for a little while, but we never really spoke. But I'll give him a shout out. AK-40 Devin. He's an artist, but he also does video. And I get hit up all day. It's like, yo, let's do a song, blah, 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 blah. Devin hits me. He's like, yo, if you need video work, hit me up. And I'm like, you know what, dude? I definitely do, because granted, people know that I do video work, but who films the video guy? You know what I mean? It's like, so, he came out, we shot something. It's like, now I want to do a song with Dev because I like, you know what I mean? Like he helped me with something. So it's like, I don't know, you just got to build the relationship. But to the point that you're making, most of my like connections through music wasn't from me like producing. I came in the game as a video director, made a ton of connections through that. And then I looped around and I was like, yo, I'm cooking up some beats now to like all the artists I did videos with. And that's how I kind of built my platform up. But I think it's a lot harder, like if you're a producer going direct, dude.
Yeah, and it's funny that you say like you went indirect. It's like it seems so much easier as a producer to get like to network without saying you're a producer, which is so weird. It's like artist is always looking for beats, and then the one time you offer the beats, it's like this guy's just being like the rest, But it's just like now that you say, yo, I can do this for you, but I'm also this. Now it's like, oh my God, like, yeah, come hang. And
it's kind of like a hack for producers. So like, yo, if you're an artist out there and you're trying to connect with your favorite artist, don't offer them beats, offer them something else, dude. Just be like, yo, like I can fucking mow your lawn. Like, yo, by the way, I cook up some beat. Like, I don't know, offer them something, dude, but just don't offer them the beat directly.
Don't offer them the beat directly.
But you know what? Maybe it's like, I don't know, maybe there's some psychology behind it too, where it's like, if someone's like, like, he's offering me beats, he's thirsty. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, dude, I like been working with him for 2 weeks. He didn't even mention anything about the beats. Like, yeah, let me hear a beat. You know what I mean?
It's almost like outside of it too, when people do it to me, where it's like, yo, listen to my new song I had, and I've been in the studio for 14 hours. Like, I don't really want to listen to your song. Like, my ears are shot. Like,
timing is everything too.
Yeah, and it's like I don't. So I kind of sense like how they feel too. It's like I've been dealing with like music all day. Last thing I want to do is listen to someone else tell me like, oh, here's some beats, blah blah. You know what I mean? So that's why I started figuring out, what if I give them something refreshing? It's like, yo, I got some quotes for you, like for free, like nothing.
It's
no ties to
also
it.
probably refreshing too, because they probably get sent a shit ton of beats that also suck. You know what I mean? It's
I always
like,
forget that element too.
you know what I mean? Like if I got sent things that all day that sucked, like it's gonna make me less open to like, nah, I'll just stick with my dudes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because like you know, God forbid their 808s are out of tune.
Oh
you know?
my god, that is the worst thing.
I know that's your pet peeve,
it's a
dude.
Pet peeve, man. Like hearing a 808 out of tune, I feel like that's producer 101. Like I always send people like a link to Busy Work Beats. Like if you need to learn, go to Busy Work Beats, go to Lario. Like,
That's something I got better because of you too, dude.
Yeah, you know, it's like I hate hearing it because it's like it makes the song worse. Like it makes a fart sound when that's what I call it. Like when the 808's out of key, it'll make a fart sound, and that's when you know it's not in key. And I think you can have the worst like pattern of drums, but as long as the 808's in key, I think like all right, there's something there. Like
We can make it work. We can save this. Yeah, Juanny, what's one of the biggest hurdles that you had to overcome in your career?
I think was like trusting people in the game. You know, like you do a lot of work for people and people promise you things they can't keep. And I think overcoming, you know, like doing a lot of work for people and then out of nowhere you're starting from scratch zero again because you put in so much work to help elevate someone and then they just, you know, leave you behind. It's like, damn, like now I got to do this all over again. And it's like, all right, now let me go to this side of the world and see if I can do this. And I think it wasn't until like, I want to say last year when I was really like starting to see my seeds being grown for once. Like I feel like you plant the seeds and it's just like, all right, so now where's the plant? Like I don't see it growing. I don't see nothing. And I think that's the hardest hurdle is like, you know, starting from scratch zero in the game because you make sort of a lot of connections in one side and then you lose all of that. Where do you do after that? It's like you haven't started at this ground zero in a long time. You know, where do I start now again? So I think, you know, starting from ground zero a few times like that, it kind of like also plays with your mental. It's like, do I even like belong in this game? Like, do I keep going in the industry? Like, but then you realize, man, like it's all temporary, man. You just got to start from zero again if it happens and just stay down till the come up. Like I liked what Murda and Mike said on your podcast the other day. It's like you never know what life's gonna throw at you, you know? It's really like how you react to it. And then that's what I've learned. It's like you can't let those small and bad times dictate the whole thing. You gotta just like, you know, take what you get and you don't get upset.
Bro, I resonate with what you said a lot, dude. I've been there, dude. And it is part of the journey, though. I hate it. You know what I mean? You don't want to be part of the journey. Like, who wants to start with from zero? You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
I've had it happen so many times, dude. At least 3 major times that I could, like, think of where I'm like, well, and you kind of pinned it right on the head. Like, so now what? You know what I mean? Like, what, like, you know, but every time you do bounce back, I'll talk to one time, like, a long time ago, and maybe you have one that you'd be down to share, too.
Yeah.
But, you know, in 2018, I was working very close with an artist who I did music videos for. And I did all their music videos. This is talking to free work, right?
Yeah.
I did all their music videos for free. And, you know, they started picking momentum. And then that artist started making some real money. And then the second that it came time to do the next like music video, he gave the budget to somebody else. And I'm like, damn, dude, like that's kind of fucked up. You know what I mean? It's like, not that like, you should have, but like low-key, I just did 8 music videos for you, and now like the second you get a budget, you give to somebody else.
It's a slap in the face.
It's kind of a slap in the face, but even after that, I let it rock. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I was just like, yo, let's do this. We ended up touring, ended up becoming a dickhead, like for lack of a better word, and maybe he's at a better spot now. You know what I mean? I don't know. I haven't talked to him in a while, but I ended up quitting his team. And at that time, I had all my eggs in that basket. You know what I mean? And this is kind of something that reminded me of something you said where it's like, you can't have all your eggs in one basket.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I learned that from that pretty strong. So I quit his team, and keep in mind, I had put years in at this point, like mad videos, tours and stuff. Like it didn't see really any money from it. The only money I got was like a per diem pay from being on tour, which like probably equates to $200 a week. Yeah. You know what I mean? So it's like, I was devastated. Right. And 3 months later, I got hit up by Watsky, who's like another artist that I've toured with. And he offered me basically a gig that made all of what I just mentioned worth it. I was like, okay, he changed my life. It was a life-changing opportunity. And it happened like 3 months right after the falling out with the other artist. So the point I'm trying to get to is like, you just gotta keep pushing. Cause like, if you're in the music game, you're gonna get fucked over. Like there's gonna be things that are gonna happen.
Yeah.
But this thing doesn't stop until you do, and you don't know what's around the corner. I don't know if you'd be willing to share something that happened with you. You obviously don't have to drop names. You could be mad elusive like I did, and the one person that's listening knows who they are, but like...
Yeah. I mean, I'm still friends with one, you know? It's just like, you do a lot of free work. I'm talking about from recording, mixing, mastering, making the beat, doing the creative directing side of things, and it's just like giving them advice whenever. And you realize you're only doing that for that one person. So that's, you know, you're praying that that person blows up and, you know, makes a name for themselves, because it's like you're putting your all into this person. You're basically investing. That's like what you're doing.
You believe in them, dude.
Yeah, you're investing very early on, and it's just like, I could have been building my name up, and that's what I noticed. That's before I get sidetracked, that's what I noticed. Like, you got to build yourself. So sometimes you got to be selfish in this game, but to continue, it's like, you start building a lot and, you know, denying other opportunities to do the same for other people, because you're so involved in this person, you're believing in them, and they're starting to make a name for themselves, right? And you get in a room, and the major artist is going to get on their beat, on their song, and not once does that person look at you and say, yo, load up this beat. This could change mine and your life right here. Load up this beat. Now, what does he do? Goes in the email and looks at a different pack someone else has sent him. So from there, you're like looking at him like, oh, word, this is how we're going to go?
Yeah.
So now when you come to the studio, you're going to pay full pricing for everything, right? Because that's the way I'm looking at it. It's like you see someone that you put your all into get in a position that, you know, they're going to make a crazy opportunity out of this. And now once is your name, like let me reward this person because they were there from the start. And from there, that's when you realize, like, I got to start from scratch zero now, because now I see someone's intention when they get into a position that can change everything.
Yeah, dude. And I know the exact feeling that you're talking about. And it's tough. And I think it's a lot of time, like, especially when you are a producer or like more of like, quote unquote, a behind the scenes guy. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's harder for you to stand your ground, you know? With the particular instance I was just talking about too, like, I don't want to say nothing good came from it. You know what I mean? Because there are opportunities that came from it that still help me to this day. You know what I mean? And realistically, I probably wouldn't have got that touring opportunity that changed my life if it wasn't for the shitty situation.
Yeah.
And, you know, time has gone on. So like my heart's open. I'm sure like maybe there's a world in the future where like we let bygones be bygones and call it a day. But, you know, it's tough in these situations too, especially when you invest so much of yourself in artists. I've done it time and time again, like, and when you believe in an artist, like, you know, you're staying up the extra hours, you're producing more, like, you're trying to fine tune it, because you're basically their success becomes your success too, and it's like the relationship really has to be like a I scratch your back, you scratch mine kind of thing, like for it to work, where it's like, you know, that if you're gonna put in that work to help that artist, that they are like, when opportunities come for them or they're like, yo, like we need a producer, he's like, I got the guy. You know what I mean? So it's tricky, but to kind of wrap this all up into this part, it's like, you really got to focus on yourself sometimes too, where it's like, no one's got your back like you do, dude.
And that's the kind of advice I would tell someone, is like, don't make that mistake of like, you know, like, yeah, you could believe in someone and, you know, do the work, like, but also like do things for yourself too. Like, don't get too caught up putting your on to someone else. Like, you got to remember about yourself too. That's like, you know what I mean? It's just like, don't build someone else's like goals and dreams and forget about yours. You know what I mean? And it's just like, that was the one mistake I made, because I realized after it happened, the 1, 2, and 3, like, it's like, at this point, you're like, what am I doing for myself? I'm helping building someone else up, but why am I not doing it for myself? And I feel like that was the game changer in my career. It was like, I got to focus on myself now. And look at that. You just see all the opportunities arise because you're finally, you know, watering your like your
flowers.
Yeah. It's just like,
it is
finally
important too. And like, I don't think there's anything wrong with coming in the game, like, you know, helping out artists, but you do need to remember your own goals and dreams too. And like, you know, the first time it happened, because I had 3 too, right? So the first time it happened to me, I was bummed. And then thankfully I got like a life vest thrown to me. You know what I mean? Just lucky. Second time, you know, I was just like, all right, whatever. Third time hurt the worst. But, you know, when the third time hit, I was just like, you know, let's take this as a sign to like really just focus on myself because, you know, nothing is promised, right?
Yeah.
And if I can build something where I'm good off of Mike Squires, like if I can have my own podcast and make that profitable, I don't need anybody else. You know what I mean? If I can get my own music going, I don't need anybody else. Like I can drop a Mike Squires thing and be profitable. And I will tell you, the $10 that Mike Squires makes is better than the $100 I'll make for another artist. You know what I mean? Like sometimes just it's kind of more fulfilling too. And then you get to select the projects for yourself. But it's tricky, dude. It's like, you just got to find out what works for you. You know what I mean? I'm still like in the process of like figuring that out, but foot on the gas the whole time, you know? What's something that you find has like really worked for you, Juanny?
I think you got to have like a good schedule because I think, you know, like you got to have your schedule to make your money. Obviously you got to have your schedule to do creative things. And then obviously worked on the craft. Like I designate days where I make beats like as much as I can because I know I'm not going to be able to make beats every single day because you're either recording someone, you're in a session somewhere, you're giving your input in like other artists, you're at their like video shoots and all this. So you're like, I would say the biggest thing is your schedule because then you can have an idea of like what's next and like what do I need to do to like, you know, progress for the next week. Like how can I get to my goals? You got to have a set schedule. You got to have something where you can focus on one thing because I feel like that's a lot of thing that happens to people is they try to do too much per day. You're going to get burnt out like that. Like, you got to have something where you're like, all right, I'm only doing beats today. And then that's your only focus. Obviously it doesn't always pan out like that, but that's like the main focus is like, let me not do as much today so I don't like burn myself out and like have a shitty like attitude towards like people and stuff like that. Cause that's what happens to me. Is like, you know, like I'm like, for example, yesterday I was so overwhelmed. Like, I'm not gonna lie. I told Chris, I was like, yo, we had to do some last minute clean versions, mixes, like remake some beats for like artists. And then I had to do a session from like 1 to 6. I was like, I slept like literally like 2 hours. Like, so it's like those type of days, you try not to have too much of those per week because it's like, if you have like a day like that every day, which Chris does, and I tell him like, you gotta chill, you're going to get burnt out.
Yeah, it really is good advice. Like what you said resonates with my soul. Like I should be doing what you're saying, but I'm like, I feel like I give out crackhead energy, dude. Like where, like even today, that's why I have face tattoos on a podcast, dude. It's crazy. It's too much blending into each other, but it's, you know, today I was in a studio session, you know, I bounced up the stems, got that all sorted. Then it's like, shoot this music video outside. Then I already edited that little sequence of the music video. And then I'm like hopping straight into a podcast. After this, I'm going to paint my studio. Like I'm a fucking psychopath, dog.
But it's, you know, some people can do it. That's the thing. I think it's like that's a better message. Like now that you're saying that is like, do what you think you can do and you're capable of like in your means. Because at the end of the day, like Chris can do all this that he does and have a chaotic day, sleep 3 hours and he's doing the same exact thing the next day and not like nothing. Like, so it's like, could I do that? No. But what I can say is I will have a specific side of my craft sharp because I can focus on that one thing. You know, like the reason why I can't do that is because I will be all over the place. Maybe I was like, oh, I worked on this, but did you finish it? Did you get this done? Did you do the other thing? It's like, nah, because I was all over the place today that I thought I could fit it all in and now I'm behind on things rather than like delegating time for certain things. You have a schedule, like I'm gonna work on this for 3 hours, work on this for 3 hours, and then I'm gonna do this and that. That's what I was the person that's like, you know, I'm gonna just go on the fly. Like whatever happens in this time that's gonna happen, it happens. And I think that's where I lack was like, you know, like that's why sometimes things are late and sometimes things aren't done that we're supposed to because you don't delegate that time the way you're supposed to.
No, time management is probably something I could work on too. And even hearing you, like the idea of it sounds so nice. You know what I mean? Like it sounds great. You know what I mean? I would love to, but dude, I'm just somebody who has like the foot on the gas and like one text I get can like really change my whole like course of the day.
It really happens like that. And that's why I say it's like, It never pans out how you want it to, but at least you have the idea. The idea is there of what you want to do, but it'll never work out that way. It's always on the fly.
Do you have a story of something where like you had a plan and the plan didn't work out like you thought, but it
ended up literally yesterday. Like literally yesterday. I come to the studio, me and Mike is like, yo, let's finish your album. Let's pick out, well, not album, we're gonna finish like the rollout of the songs he's dropping. He's dropping a single every month.
Oh, that's fire.
So we're doing that. We're like doing the final edits of the mixes and stuff so we can finally submit it to DistroKid. And Chris comes in and is like, yo, so I need your help because I'm about to be in a session. I need you to like clean this, make the beats, like fuck around with the stems, and then bounce out the clean versions, the waves, the acapella, the instrumental, all this. So it's like, all right, we'll do that. So then we're doing this, and then he comes in and he's like, oh, by the way, I got a call. I need you to remake a beat for someone that's dropping an album, and you only have like 2 hours to do that. So I was like, oh, okay. So now I got to do this. Mike's going to be doing the other record that they want to, it's all got to be submitted in the next 24 hours. It's like, so we came here to do your thing, but I guess we're not doing that at all today. So I ended up going like that. And then Murder comes in and says, oh, so you're done with the beat? I was like, yep. So can you help Mike finish that? I go over there. Next thing he comes like, oh, by the way, you have a session at 11 to like 5 in the morning with this person. So I'm like, oh, okay, good. So I do that. Oh, he's late. So can you finish that other record? And it's just like, it's just like a whole running around today. So then it's like, oh, you're only going till 5. Now I'm home at 8 in the morning. You know what I mean? So it's like the things you set out to be isn't going to work how you want it to work. It's never going to.
You got to adapt, dude. You always have to adapt. And that's the thing. Like that's another thing about music industry stuff is like, you really got to stay ready because that opportunity will come. It'll be like, yo, the session's tonight, 11 p.m. Like, are you going to do it or are you not going to do it? You know what I mean?
And you know what I learned about that? You can't say no.
It's so hard, dude.
You can't say no because the thing is, it might be the smallest no for that smallest artist, but that person is going to remember for the big one. You couldn't do it for that one.
You're not on their list anymore, dude.
Yeah.
You're like, you just brought yourself all the way down, especially if that like aligns with your goals, dude.
And I learned, because back in the day, I would have done all that by myself. You know what I mean? I would have tried to do it all by myself, but sometimes you got to delegate. Yeah, the pie gets shorter, but at least the job is done and there's going to be more pie to go around. Because if they're giving you one pie for 5 people and it's only meant for 2 people, you had to delegate it to get it done. You know what I mean? And so it's like, that's the way I see it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like, you got to delegate sometimes.
Is there ever been something that you turned down that you regretted turning down?
Honestly, to this day, I don't turn things down.
That's crazy.
I to this day, I just can't. You know why? It's just like, actually, I'm lying. There's times where I could have recorded someone that I wanted to record, but I got lazy. And from there, I realized, like, yo, I turned that down to record this person, but I could have gotten placements then. And it's just like, you don't see it then like that because you're like, I'm so
How one
exhausted.
thing can lead to another.
Yeah, and it's like, thankfully now I've had the opportunity to work with that person and like, I have things coming on the way. But I feel like I delayed that process because I didn't say yes at the time. And if I would have just said, fuck sleep and let's just grind. Because then later I don't have to say fuck sleep. I could go to sleep and, money will make money for me, So it's like, I think that's my one regret in life is like thinking I have the luxury to be comfortable. I don't have the luxury to be comfortable. So I can't get complacent with where I am just because things are happening. I could have had more opportunities. Who knows? You know what I mean?
Yeah, and time, time is not nice to anybody, dude. Like, things go on. I mean, I have this one opportunity. I don't regret turning it down, but it is one that I get chirped a lot about. And I turned down, Jelly Roll offered me a full-time job. Like, this happened maybe 2022, right? And all my friends still chirp me about. They're like, you turned down. Matter of fact, I'm looking like Jelly Roll right now on the podcast with his face tats, dude. But but he wanted me to come like live with him full time, and I was like, dude, I can't just like
get up and go,
leave my whole life. You know what I mean? That's like my family, my girl. Like, this is like a 24/7, 365 job. Like, but I was like, yo, I'm definitely down to work. Just like bring me on tours. Like, let's do like some capacity. You know what I mean? And like, we're still cool, but. And I think one day Jelly and I will connect on something, right? But it kind of goes with what you're saying. It's like I delayed it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I could have been there like right now doing it.
Who knows where you'll be right now?
That's what I'm
the
saying.
thing. It's like you don't know who you would have. Because the thing is, it's not only just missing opportunity with that person. You don't know who he could have presented you to.
Oh, yeah,
Who you could have met
dude.
along the way. Because sometimes it happens like that. Like, for example, my best friend that I came up with in the music, he just goes outside to get a coffee because he's like visiting a friend. He meets an artist that's like getting like prescription or something at the pharmacy. He's walking out. They bump into each other. He's like, yo,
It's important just
I
to be outside.
Sent you a Instagram DM like to work. He's like, word? Looks at the DMs like, yo, here, I'll follow you back. Boom. And it happens just like that. And it's just like, you never know if you could have been on tour with Jelly Roll and somehow you just meet someone walking out.
No matter who, when you take an opportunity, that happens. Even on the tours that I've done, like I've met so many incredible people and it's so fun. But you know, it's like with things like that, I don't necessarily regret taking it down because like I just didn't want to like drop my entire everything because I have my own goals. And you know, with a job like that, when you're 24/7, 365, like there's no sample tapes, dude. There's no 50 States project.
And that goes back to what I was saying is like you're building someone else's dreams. So sometimes, yes, we took that L, but maybe it was a blessing in disguise because maybe we don't have those records you have today.
Yeah.
You don't have the 50 artists, 50 states records, you know what I mean? Because you're building someone else's dream. So it's like maybe it was a blessing in disguise. Maybe it was like it was to make you work harder. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and you know what? It's crazy though, because after what's happened with Jelly specifically, like I just feel more inspired. You know what I mean? Because his like success is like gone through the roof. And like, I mean, Jelly's like 38, 39. It's like, you know, sometimes when you're younger, you're like, yo, what's my longevity in this look like? You know what I mean? Is this something I can do when I'm older? But one, he's just inspired me, like, you know, through all his accolades and everything he's got. Two, Jelly, I am still down to work, dog. I'm still here, dude. I am still here. Like, I haven't gone anywhere, dude. So if you tune in or see this, somebody's got to send them this clip. But like, you know, it's always been love. You know what I mean? It never was like, no, I don't want to do this because like, I've always loved him. I just like 24/7, 365. Like, I was like, just bring me out
That's hard. That's tough, man.
It's like,
you got to like grind hard. When you're doing something like that too, he's telling you to live with him and everything. That's pretty much him telling you, we are not going to be sleeping.
Well, that's the thing. Like, and you know, there's a lot of freedoms that go with that too, where it's like, you know, you're on someone else's schedule too. And like, I've seen people with that job and they do enjoy it, but I think it's better that I turned it down too, because I don't know if I would like, I probably would get tired of it after a while. You know what I mean? And like, sometimes you got to turn things down. Like it might sound good in the moment. And this applies to a lot of things. I've turned down a good amount of opportunities, but it might sound good in that moment. But then when you really break it down, it's like, yo, this like actually, who knows? Like my relationship with him could have been terrible after that because he just finds out he doesn't like living with me because I snore too loud. You know what I mean? It's like, dude, I toured with an artist too that like, he brought me on the road to do video with him and I snored mad loud and he like woke up and he just like stared at, like, I've never got a dirtier stare than that. But it's like, sometimes you don't know until you go, and that's a positive and a negative thing.
Yeah. That's really funny because it's like you always see like, yeah, like this is going to happen if I do this, this and that. And then you start doing it and you realize we're not compatible. Like we can't work together. And it's like, now you just kind of burned a bridge because it's like, you guys don't like each other as much as y'all thought y'all did. And, you know, so it's like, maybe that's a blessing in disguise that you weren't his full-time guy, but maybe I could do work in the future that's going to lead to something great.
Yeah, and another thing this kind of brings me to, and one thing I'll start pulling this towards the end, but one thing is like your circle, right?
Yeah.
Your circle, the people that you have around you are so important. And, you know, when I think of Juanny, I think of somebody who has a good circle around. I know you got Murda, Melodia, you got AMG, you got a lot of people around you that want to see you win.
Yeah.
You know, do you have anything to say about just like, you know, building a circle or the people around you?
Yeah, so like, you gotta have people that are gonna be able to drop things whenever you need them to drop it at this time. That's the most important thing. Like I've saw Murda go to his sessions. Sorry, Murda, really late because he did a mix and master for me. You know what I mean? Like someone that will literally put their job on the line for you. That's a brother. You know what I mean? Mike has done that countless of times where he could have gone home and got ready for the next day because it was a really big and long day for him. He, you know, dropped whatever he had to do and got it done for me. One of my favorite producers I like working with, Nada 1K. anytime I hit him up, he has literally like he goes to Belmont University for music business. And he was like, yo, I got an exam I'm studying, blah, blah. But if you need anything, I will literally drop it just to work. And it literally happened yesterday. I hit him up for the big record. I couldn't get it on time. Like I said, I had that crazy day, delegated to him, got it done, already submitted. It's going to drop soon, and it's going to be a very big record. I'm very happy about it. And that's the thing about your circle. You need people like that. That's like, you know, you helped me so many times and you never question what it was, big or small. I want to do that for that person. And having people in your circle that are literally like going on the line for you, that's the best thing you can have. Like, because at that point you feel like you're untouchable in a way. It's like, I have a team that's better than your team. You know, like if they call upon my team to do this, we're gonna beat you guys because my team is willing to put everything on the line to get the job done. And like I said, like my team, Nada 1K, Rafi, Melodia, Murda, DJ Big Kev doing his thing, Amir Luco, mad people on my team, you know? It's like, we just get the job done. Anything you need, we get the job done. And I can't forget Claire. That's my girl. Claire Phillips, she's the owner of Demon Child. Shout out to Demon Child.
Yeah, and the one thing that I'm taking away from this too is that you're just surrounded by reliable people. And I think that's also very important for the industry too, where it's like, you know, people know that they can call Juanny and he'll get the job. Even I've hit you on times where I'm like, yo, like I need some additional production. And you've had it to me like, I didn't even think about it. You know what I mean? Like you turn around so quick, and like being reliable is going to get you further in the industry than a lot of other things too.
It's so funny because like every time you have hit me up, I feel like I did do it like within like a certain amount of period. And it's also because you also make it very easy. Like you got to remember when you want to give delegates things to people, you got to make things easy for them too. Like you don't want to give them something that's like, oh yeah, reorganize this.
Hot pile of garbage. Yo, fix this.
You make it so easy to work with you. And that's the best thing, because when you make it easier to work with you, like people are always going to, when you ever like, yo, I need you to do this for me, they're going to do it. Because it's like, I know even if it's like something that's going to take me time, at least it's not going to take me double the time because he's courteous to even organize it for you. You know what I mean? And I think that's why I always respect working with you, is because you're like, yo, I got this thing for you. I got the BPM, blah, blah. This is what I want you to do with it. You tell me what it is. I don't got to second guess what I'm doing in my production. I just strictly right to it. And that's why I feel like we always work well, bro.
Yeah, there's a Kid Cudi quote, dude. The ones who make it complicated never get congratulated, dude. I love that quote.
That quote is amazing.
Yeah. What's Juanny's message to the world, dude? If there's one thing you want people to take away from you, what is it?
Honestly, it's gonna sound corny, but
it always does.
It's my tag.
Yeah.
So it's like, hey, yo, Juanny, this is some swaggy shit. And the thing about it is that tag is like, do everything like your way. Like that's your swag. Like when you have like, just have your own swag. You know what I mean? Don't try to be like someone else. Like, and I think that's important with music. Is like, don't try to be like someone else, bro, because people appreciate you. Like, who's Mike Squires? You know what I mean? Like, imagine you could have been like, you know, Drew filmed it or something. You know, it's like you're copying someone else's swag. It doesn't really. They're like, all right, I could just go with Drew. Like, what the heck? Like, you know what I mean? It's just like, get your own swag. So like, that's what I would say to everyone is like, get your own swag.
You're better to fail for originality than succeed as an imposter, dude. You know what I mean? Just try to do your own thing, because that's what's going to make you stand out. You know what I mean? There's a million producers, there's a million video guys, there's a million artists. Like, what makes you stand out? What makes you special, dude? It's just like, you got to have that factor, and you got to find that in yourself, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm going to pull this in the end zone, Juanny. If people want to connect with you and find you, how can they?
My Instagram is _YUNGJUANNY, Young Juanny. That's where you can find me for anything, honestly. Like, that's just the best way to contact me. If you want to work, feel free to shoot at me, man.
Yeah, and you know, what can we expect from Juanny coming up, dude?
This end of the year, I've set I planted the seeds for 2025, and what's coming in 2025, people aren't gonna expect it. And I think I'm destined to, do some great things this year. Any placement I had in the past, I think I'm gonna have them beat this year, next year.
Let's go, dude.
That's what I love, bro.
Yeah, well, Juanny, thank you for coming on the podcast, dude.
I appreciate you, man, for having me.
It was a lot of fun, dude. We did it in first class again. This is the first time it's at like a studio setup, dude.
This is actually my actual setup here. So like, I don't smoke. That's one thing I want to tell everybody.
I don't smoke either, dude. This is great.
So it's like, this is the room that you actually can't smoke in this studio. So it's like, it works best because I come back here. I don't got to worry about someone smoking. drink my wine back here, something that, you know, set the mood, get my swag going, and I create. This is like literally where I create my best records. It's been here or it's been in that room, but that room got demolished. It's going to be a podcast room, so...
It's funny that we're doing the podcast in the Juanny room, dude. But no, I love it, dude. Well, thank you, dude.
Appreciate you for having me, like always, bro.